Hi everyone, this project is going to challenge you. Today we're going to make a small platter about so big that uses the same technique as this bigger one. And as it zooms in, you'll see that technique traps small bubbles within a grid of lines. Welcome to Rocket Rose Art. My name is Jeff. I made this platter quite a while ago before I started making videos. However, I'm still going to show you the technique, and I'm going to do that by making another small platter. If you look closely, you can see there are small bubbles trapped within the grid of lines. They're not all the same size, but this is art, not mass production. If it looks a little challenging, it is, but don't be afraid. It's well worth having a go at this, as you'll learn a great deal. Now, this is a fairly long project, and there are a lot of steps, so I do recommend that you watch them all the way through. To help you with that, I have a chapter list in the description with timestamps to each one of the steps, so if you want to re-watch something, it'll be quite easy. Please, if you like the video and you want to see more, subscribe and hit the like button and help me out by sharing it with the world. So let's get on with this. The glass we'll use for this project is just 3mm black, 3mm clear and some black stringers. The only extra bit of equipment you'll need in this project is a grinder of some sort. At one step we will have to grind the edges of a piece of glass. Now you could use a flat lap like this one that I use, or you could use a grinder much like this one. I don't recommend using sandpaper or diamond pads. I think they're just impractical for this purpose. The final dimensions of the platter will be 140mm by 140 with a 25mm border. The central feature will be 90 by 90 and the grid is a grid of 10mm squares. It's alright, I was just laughing at something Anne said. Right, I've cut all the glass and I've cut the stringers and I have cleaned it all ready to go. In this step what we're going to do is tack fuse the stringers to the glass, and to help me with that I'm going to glue up the stringers so they don't roll off as I take it over to the kiln. I just use a fuser's glue. You can use whatever is your favourite glue. The first string will be 3mm in from the edge, and then the next ones will all be 10mm apart. To help me with that, I have marked the glass with texture along the edge for the positioning of each stringer. Okay, Something about that gluing up process, I have a little bit of a shake, as you've probably noticed. So I have a bit of trouble with small things and moving them. I tend to go at the wrong time. And so what I do is I use one of these to pick things up, which is a pair of tweezers in reverse. You squeeze them and they open up, and they close because they're spring loaded. And I use a little brush to help me position the stringers in place, and I use another one here to put a very small drop of glue at the end of each stringer. And I use a high-tech butter lid off of a butter container to put the glue on as I'm working. Now we've done that, we've just got to wait for that glue to dry before we put the whole lot in the kiln, and I'll come back in a short time and I'll show you that. I have finished gluing up all the pieces. They're sitting in the kiln on thin fire, so now we just need to tack fuse them. That went well. The two pieces for the central feature are out of the kiln. You can see that the stringers are tack fused only. They're just slightly raised. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this one on top of that one. That one there has got the stringers facing up, and I'm going to turn this one 90 degrees and face the stringers down, and then I'm going to put that on top, line it up nicely, and I'm going to full fuse it together. Principle here is that the bubbles will get trapped between those stringers, and because they're raised, not totally fused in, they form a little pocket in the middle. So I'll prepare all this, put it in the kiln, full fuse it, and then after that I'll be back and show you the final result. And it's the next day and it is out of the kiln. This is the result of fusing those two pieces together, and you can see we've trapped small bubbles in that grid. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to grind the edges to make it a nice square piece before I then assemble it for the final fuse of the final piece. Well, that didn't take too long. On my flat lap it goes quite quickly. You'll find on a small grinder it will take a bit longer. It's all squared off. Now I just need to cut all the borders. There are a couple of things I need to mention here. When you're cutting the border strips, don't try and cut them to the final length. You need to cut them all the same length, and you need to measure your final piece and make the necessary adjustments. Then when you're assembling it, assemble it so that everything is offset, as you can see here. Then when you lay up the next layer, overlap the joints like that. Now I'll wash everything up, make sure it's nice and clean, then I'll assemble it, put it in the kiln for a full fuse, and I'll be back to show you the final piece. Hope you enjoyed that. It's an interesting technique, and it is open to a lot of interpretation, so you could do all sorts of things with it. Different colours, different shapes, and so forth. If you've got any questions, ask me in the comments and I will try to answer them for you. And any tips or suggestions, ideas for future videos, that would be all appreciated. Now, if you want to see some more videos, you'll see them right up here and down here. And please don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, I'll say bye for now.